Hi everybody and welcome back to some more Valentino Rossi The Game MotoGP 16 here in this channel. Now on this channel we're doing a full series working right from Moto3 right up to GP bikes, and in the previous episode guys I asked you to vote to whether we stay in the current team or move to another team in the Moto3 season. Now thanks to all that voted on Facebook, Twitter and in the comments, and the result was to stay in the current team. Now most of you said stay with the Red Bull team for the Moto3 season, so that's what we're going to do. But there will be another transfer window in the season, whether we stay with Moto3 or we go up a level to the Moto2, but I will put that to a vote. Also in today's episode guys, I'm going to go through a few tips to setting up a bike for the races in qualifying. Now this is only going to be a brief tips for the qualifying because every track's different. You have to adjust different things. But a few of you guys asked what I normally change and how I go about doing the qualifying and that. So this is how I do it. So let's get straight into it. So here we go. Right guys, what I normally do, I do a couple of laps around the circuit just to see what the bike's like on default settings, and it doesn't handle very well at the moment. We haven't managed to put a time in for qualifying. It's understeering, it's bobbling on the curbs, it's not reacting very well to changing direction, so now I know what I need to change. Some people can use this guided setup. This is a computer setup. You go in here, you have a look to what the problem you've got, and the computer does try and do you a setup to aid those problems. Now for me, I prefer to use a manual setup, then I know exactly what I'm changing and what I may need to tweak when I go back out. So these are the things that you get the option to change. Now tyres, because we're only doing 3 laps, tyres shouldn't be an issue, so you should be riding, unless it's raining, both on the soft option. Brakes, well I'm a bike user, so I know I use more than the front brake than the back. Now the back wasn't an issue, so the front was. I want it to stop that little bit more. I like to go faster into the corner, so I'm going to put that to disc 1. But you've got to remember, this front brake is going to stop you quicker, so don't slam on the brakes as you would on disc 2, because it's going to stop you a lot quicker and can slow you down a lot. So that's what I'm going to do for the gear. The gearing I'm not going to change, because on this circuit it's not an issue. Handlebars I'm not going to change, but suspension definitely going to change. Now it's understeering, so adjusting the preload is the first thing I'm going to do, and it was understeering quite a lot, so I'm going to move down both of them on the preload. Now the spring stiffness, compression damping and rebound, it was only the front that I was having problems with. Now so I'm going to up that to make it more precise, but it may make it a little bit unstable. But I like when you change direction, you will notice sometimes the front kicks out or the back, and you know which whether to go for the front, to adjust the front or the back. But I'm only going to adjust the front on all 3. But after doing a lap, if you can tell whether it's working or not working, you can come back in and alter it. But that's what I'm going to adjust from what I've seen after the first few laps I've done. So we're going to go back out to the track and always give it another couple of laps. Don't always base it on the first lap, because it may take you a little bit to get used to all those changes you've made. So we'll do a couple of laps on this with these changes and see if it's made a difference. So here we are. Let's just get straight into it. So we've still got a bit of time to do a few adjustments. So let's just see what it's like turning into the first corner. And already, without braking too much, I can feel it turning in a lot better. And even so, that time I'm having to correct myself. This is definitely not understeering as much as it was, and this should really help me to get tight into those corners and accelerate a little bit more. And I'm already noticing on the front brake as well, it's definitely stopping it a little bit quicker. So we've got to try and get used to that into this first lap. And look at that, you can take the bike really tight into the inside and get a good drive out there. So the time we need to beat is a 1:53.685. So we're going to go a couple of laps. Let's see what it's like. But like I said, it's going to take me a couple of laps to get used to this setup. So let's do 1 lap, see what times or where we're quicker at, the split times as well. And then we will know whether we need to alter it. And we went into there a bit too quick, so already I'm noticing the brakes are a lot different. So that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. And at the first split time, we were actually slower. So far, it's going to take, it's definitely going to take a lap to get used to these settings. But hopefully into these slow corners, I will get more benefit and see a difference. Let's see if we can get a tight line into there. We can definitely get a lot tighter than that. So I didn't brake enough. I'm just trying to not over brake. And I'm just trying not to use so much of the back brake as well. God dear, I used a little bit too much into that corner. When you alter the front, you can sort of use the front more than the back because like I said, it's a stronger brake and it's going to stop you quicker, so you can back off the back. It just reduces the amount of times you're going to slide off by using too much back brake. And so far this hasn't been a great first lap, but so like I said, I'm not going to stick with it, at least give it another try. Now I know how the brakes and how the bike is reacting to the movement and how it's steering in. I can sort of counteract that, and I can go into the corners knowing how it's going to react. And we're only about half a second behind the time on this first attempt, so that's not too bad. That's what I was expecting. Now, we were way a lot further than that in the first couple of laps before we made any adjustments, so we're definitely improving. And plus on the first couple of laps we actually came off a couple of times around these corners, but I do like to get nice and tight into these corners. This is where you're going to probably get a lot of success with the adjustment on the setup, and this is where you can win a race around those slow corners. So let's get into this end of this first lap and see what this has got us. 10th. So 10th, so we're 0.9 behind the time. Right, we're going to go another lap, and now we're going to go a little bit quicker, and now we know how the bike reacts, and see if we can improve that time. So let's get nice and tight into there, slow it down. You have to be really careful into that corner. You have to slow it down, but not too much, but use more front brake and back brake so you don't slide out. And that was a much better corner there, so we're only 0.1 behind the time at that first split point, but I'm not going to worry about that too much because I know I'm a lot quicker on the next two split points, so hopefully that's where we're going to be quicker. So let's get nice and tight into this corner now, using the fact that it steers in a lot better now. So we could still get a little bit tighter than that, but as long as we can improve on that time on this lap, that's what we're aiming for. So let's get nice and tight into this corner, slow it down, turn it in. Got to try and stay. Don't worry about going onto the curb too much there. You find even the AI do that. It doesn't, as long as you've adjusted the setup, it doesn't affect you too much, and we're still behind the time at this point. We're really going to have to go a little bit quicker into these corners and try and improve that. I'm not always, I find sometimes you may be faster on the first two split points but slow on the second two. I don't know why sometimes that happens, but hopefully we can improve coming to this third split point. And let's have a look at the time, and yes, see what I mean, we've gained almost half a second in that section, so it's definitely improved through that section. But if we can master those first two split points, then we're definitely going to have some success in this race. But let's see if we can finish strong and see if we can better 10th. We want to get to at least top 3 in this qualifying session, and I'm feeling that this setup could be the one that we can use in the race. It's feeling a lot more stable. I haven't come off, I'm turning into the corners a lot quicker. Not perfect, they're never, like I said, this setup's not perfect. Each setup's going to be different for each track, but hopefully this should be better. And oh my god, we've managed to get pole position at this point, but there's still nearly 24 minutes to go. So we're going to jump out and we're going to forward the time on and see if that's fast enough. If it's fast enough, we're going to give ourselves time to do another lap if we need to. Then we're going to take that setup, because that wasn't bad. Let's forward the time on. It's still pole. Now, we haven't got a pole position yet in this series, so this could be the first one. Please stay. Getting into the final in a couple of minutes. And there you go, guys. Oh, that's brilliant. So that's what I've adjusted for Barcelona, Catalonia, and that setup worked. Now, like I said, it's not perfect. Each track's different, so you have to adjust different things, but that seemed to work and made a hell of a difference from my first couple of laps to the last couple of laps that you saw me do. Right, let's get into the race and hopefully carry on this good form. I hope that helped, guys. I know a few of you wanted to see what I adjust, but that's just a brief tip of what I adjust. Now let's get straight into this race, so here we go.
Hello to all the bike racing fans tuning in. The Moto3 race is about to get underway here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, for the 7th event on the calendar. The weather is fine and the temperature is perfect for racing, so we're just waiting to find out which riders have opted for hard tyres and which have gone for the soft. Warm-up lap complete then. The riders have taken up their positions on the starting grid, and the Grand Prix of Catalunya about to get underway.
Right, so here we go with this race around Catalonia in Barcelona. Let's see if we can get a good start. This is the first time we started first place on the grid, and it's all go in Barcelona, so off we go. Let's see if we can get into that first corner in the lead, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be tested in this race, so I'm going to have to be careful. If I can put in some fast lap times like I did in that qualifying lap, hopefully we can stay in the lead. But look, they're already trying to catch me up into that corner. Slow it down, turn it in. Wasn't bad. Now flip it over onto the curb, not too much. Try not to over accelerate on that curb, and we're away. Yes, right, let's turn it in, turn it in, turn it in. Oh god, I went in there a bit quick. God, did not turning it in. God, dear, we carried a bit too much speed into that corner, but lucky managed to pull it back, and we've managed just to pull away slightly. So let's try and slow it down into this corner and try and maintain this lead. Let's see if we can improve our lap times as well in this race. That's what we want to do. But I'm glad that I've managed to find a decent setup for this race, because this circuit can be tough to win on at times if you can't get the right setup, because you do tend to go right on the curbs, right tight into a lot of the corners on this race. So it's important that you have the best setup possible so you can gain as much time into these corners as possible as well. And I think we've got a couple of riders right on our tail. They're getting right on our slipstream, and let's just try and just pull away. Come on, turn it into this corner. Now this first lap was always going to be quite challenging, and I've got quite a few riders behind me, but hopefully we can start improving going into that second lap. We need to try and pull away if we can, and they're right behind us. Let's try and get nice and tight into that corner, and they're taking a tighter line in there. We didn't go in there as tight as we would have liked. We needed to go in tighter if we were to block them off, but we can get tight into these corners, and it's turning in much better. See what I mean? You can get really tight into there. Oh god, I just managed to squeeze through, and we've managed to squeeze through and go back into P1. Now that's what we wanted. Now get a nice drive around these couple of corners. Now we've got to remember they're going to probably get in our slipstream along this straight here, so we're going to have to try and get a bit of a lead and get a nice turn, and that's stand it up right. We're going to have to be aware they're going to get right in our slipstream into that corner, so we're going to have to be really good into this second lap. We're going to have to improve into those first couple of corners and just try and get away. Let's see if we can get into that corner before they catch us up. I don't want one of them to go in my inside going into this turn, otherwise it could be tough, and it's my teammate, but I managed to get turned in before they got round there, and I'm managing to hold the line because they're not going to go around the outside around that section. They're just not going to be able to go quicker around there. Let's get tighter into this. Let's try and bring it round better than we did the first lap. Let's tie it in. That is much better. Just holding a decent speed, just about 95 to 100 miles an hour, and we've managed to pull away. That's perfect. See what I mean? Now we're starting to settle in. We've got the heat in the tyres now. Now we sort of know how we can take the corners and how fast we can push this bike. Hopefully we can settle down now and just go on and win this race. That's what the plan is, but that's to see if we can pull it off. You can always make silly mistakes in races when you're under pressure on the last lap, so I'm not going to say too much, because that has happened quite a lot in this series where I've been really, really good to the last lap, and then I've made a mistake and I've almost lost it, and I have been taken a couple of times. So we're going to have to be really careful going into these tight corners that we try and block any chance of them trying to get up the inside, and that was much better through there, nice and smooth, got a nice drive, and we are running at a decent pace at the moment. This is definitely much better than the first lap. Let's see if we can get tighter into this section, because we went really wide. Let's try and brake a little bit earlier this time, turn it in. God, they're still going out a little bit too wide into that corner. We're definitely going to have to improve in that corner on the final lap. That's definitely an area, but qualifying's different. You're not under as much pressure you are in the race, and sometimes you can take it a little bit tighter, turn it in. Yes, we've managed to get a nice turn in there. Just managed to get a decent speed around that corner, hold it, stay off the curb. Oh, that wasn't too bad. It doesn't matter if you go onto that curb too much, but it's this one you want to stay off. And we're onto the straight. Now we're still leading in this race, but I think they've just managed to catch us up. When we went on that curb, we lost a bit of speed. Now it's all down to the final lap. Can we carry on? And I think it's my teammate who's going to try and take me on the straights. Oh, I've got two. They're going to go either side. Oh, this is going to be a manic last lap. Let's see if we can turn it in before we get to this. I think I'm going to have to back off, or can I go around him? Oh god, this is going to be tough. Just managing to turn into that next corner and just managed to fight off, and we managed to hold our position, but that wasn't easy. That was really, really risky. I don't want to get knocked off on this last lap. We've done so well to lead this race the first two laps. We want to carry it on in this third and final lap and hopefully take another victory in this season. And we've just managed to put away. That seems to be a good section for us, but we carried too much speed into that corner. I'm making some silly errors, but this is the thing in a race. You can't afford to make mistakes. You can in qualifying. You can go if you know what I mean, you make a mistake in qualifying, you go another lap in a race. You cannot afford to do that. You need to be on it on every single corner, and we've just managed to keep that distance into that section. We haven't got much further to go, and there's a 0.8 of a gap. That should be okay as long as we don't make any mistakes. Let's see if we can go through this section at speed. Just try and hold it, get a nice tight line. I've got to slow down slightly. Just bumped on the curb, that was a bit of an error, but still managed to maintain a decent speed. I think we've managed to pull away. This has been brilliant. I think we should be able to do it now. Let's get tighter into this corner now. That's closing down. Now that was much better. That's what we should have done on the first and second lap, and we've managed to turn in nice and tight there, and that should be okay. Coming nice and tight into there, just avoiding any chance the opposition getting up the inside, getting a nice line through there, staying off the curb, getting a nice drive, like last two corners. Now we know we're pretty quick through this one. Let's stay off the curb. That was perfect. And again, can we have one more decent corner to end this race? Yes, nice and tight, a decent drive, and that was almost spot on, and that should bring us home for another victory in Barcelona around Catalonia. And there you go, guys, we got pole and then we win the race, and that was perfect, absolutely perfect. That puts us in a really good position in this championship, and that's another win. Awesome. So we didn't carry the same speed in those laps as we did in qualifying, but we still managed to maintain it enough to get the victory, and that is absolutely brilliant. And let me know, guys, what sort of adjustments you make for your races. I mean, every race is different, and I will show you some more tips for different circuits. And plus, we haven't done any races in the rain. That's when things change. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you soon for the next part very soon, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.